Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of JC Sports. Today, we're coming at you on a Tuesday. I was kind of busy yesterday, and I think it's kind of good we're doing it today because a lot of franchise tags in the NFL have come in the last 24 hours. So I think it's good we did it. We did it today and not yesterday. But I'm sure most of you guys were waiting for it yesterday. Sorry it didn't come. We'll make sure to notify you guys next time that we have to postpone an episode. But let's talk about the biggest news of the week. Dak Prescott gets his money up. Cameron, what do you think about that?
I was wrong, okay? I mean, look, I thought he was going to go to Washington, but I mean, he's going to be Dallas's franchise guy, and maybe, just maybe, Dallas can do decent this year. I mean, I think that Dallas would possibly be able to have like an 11-5 season this year if they pick up some more talent around Dak, except for Ezekiel Elliott, because he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. But I mean, what do you think, Jackson? It's a tough one.
So I really like it from both perspectives because what Dak Prescott did is that he held out on himself, and Dak did not cave in, and he did not sign a deal that he didn't want to sign. He knew he was worth this kind of money and was just holding himself out until he got that kind of money, and that's what he got. And his gamble on himself paid off big time, and that's what I love about this deal for him. It's we'll go through the terms. It's 4 years, $160 million, and $126 million guaranteed. He is going to be the second highest paid quarterback in the league behind Patrick Mahomes this year.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with that a lot due to the sole fact
From
that
from which from which perspective? From the perspective of the Cowboys or perspective of Dak?
what do you say? Sorry, you cut out.
From the perspective of the Cowboys or the perspective of Dak?
From the perspective of I mean, I would just say from the perspective of Dak, yeah, it's a huge win for him. But I think from the perspective of the Cowboys, it takes. I wouldn't put him in the top five quarterbacks in the league right now. He doesn't deserve that type of money. I don't think. It's just like when Bill Belichick, 10 or not 10, almost 20 years ago now, said, or over 20 years ago, said that they paid Drew Bledsoe a 10-year deal because he was going to be his franchise guy, and then he goes away because he had the GOAT take over. I mean, I don't think he deserves to be paid that much, but obviously they have that much faith in him. And I mean,
I just want
what
to
do you
look
think?
at the first couple weeks of last season versus the second half of the season last year, and it was like night and day for that Cowboys team. Dak had at least kept them competitive in games.
Right,
It led them on a high scoring offense, kind of disguising how terrible their defense was. And then once he was away, it was just it was terrible. He made that Cowboys
right.
offense, he made that Cowboys team competitive.
Look, again, I don't think he deserves that money. I think he deserves a lot of money. I don't think he deserves that much, though.
Yeah, in this like lowered
I
salary
mean,
cap year, I would fear that the Cowboys are not able to build a defense because that was their biggest need last year.
yeah, I think that in reality, the Cowboys they don't just need Dak Prescott; they need a lot more around him.
Well, yeah,
And I think paying
that's
him a good amount of
the only
money,
thing is because the salary cap is going down this year.
right? And I think with them paying them the amount that they did, especially if they trade him, which I don't think they will. If they ever did, they would be. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm mixed about it. I like Dak Prescott. Don't get me wrong, but when is too much too much?
Yeah, well, he's not only is he a great football player, he's a great guy too. Came out with that mental health campaign last year. That was really good for the league, I think.
Right. I think so too. There's no way. I think that he truly, he truly is a good person, and I think when he took over Tony Romo's spot, he was like young talent, and he is good talent,
Yeah,
but
he's a great
but
leader for that
I
locker
don't
room.
know if right. I just don't know if he's worth that amount of money.
Got it. Okay. Let's talk about some of the releases and tags this past week. So Kyle Rudolph, I think the all-time receptions leader for the Vikings, I believe. At the
Was
tight
being
end spot, I know
released.
that, and they've just straight up released him. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, sorry for getting up so much. I'm getting a little bit of ranty here, but I mean, look, I get it. But at the same time, I don't agree with it. I have mixed feelings on it. He's like you said. I mean, I think like you said, uh, the Pats they're very needy right now. I understand that he'll definitely fit in there, and I think he'll probably go there. But I don't think the Vikings should have just let him go. What do you think, Jackson?
I really think that he was one of those solid places. I do think the Vikings had him overvalued. I don't think he was as good as everyone would say. He was only a two-time Pro Bowler.
Right.
But he was definitely an integral part of that Minnesota offense. He was always that safety blanket
Yeah,
for whoever was at quarterback.
I agree. I think he was a big contributor to that team, and I don't know if letting him go was the right choice.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about some of the tags that have just happened. So Broncos tagging safety Justin
Let's
Simmons
talk
for the
about
second
yeah.
straight year. For the second straight year. I wish they
Mm,
got a long term deal done with him because he is really the cornerstone of that secondary. Since they let go or traded Chris Harris last year, and he's really stepped up like big time. He's great. He's great in that back end, and I think he really deserved himself a long term deal.
yeah, I think so too. And I don't. I mean, I'm not necessarily a Broncos fan. I never root against them, but I think they should have figured something out for him. Like you said, I think he's the cog that completes the gearbox in the secondary, and I think they should have figured something out because now like the future in Denver is unstable. You don't know, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because
You don't have
you
that
just
security.
decided to franchise tag him again, right? So I definitely agree with you on the fact that they should have worked something out for at least 3 or 4 years, something like that. Because right now the Broncos don't have a lot. Drew Lock is a bust. I mean, you need to keep what you have, and right now they can. But what about in the future?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Let's go through some of the other tags.
But
Right tackle Taylor Moton of the Carolina Panthers getting tagged. He has not missed a game in 3 years.
again, I think he's one of those guys that's just reliable.
I don't
He
think the
may not
tag
be
is
the
a
greatest
bad
player on the
option
field.
while they work out an
No, I don't.
extension with him.
Right. I don't think it's a bad option. I think that they should work out an extension with him. Like you said, I think he's a very reliable guy, a guy that you want to keep around. But I think I think if you can't figure out, I think they were smart by if they couldn't figure out an extension at this moment, you need to tag him and be done with it right now and try and figure something out for the future
And
because
especially
he's a reliable guy.
with Carolina going after a quarterback, like
Right.
they want to win now. Like if they're gonna go get Deshaun Watson or they would try to get Matt Stafford, like they got to keep that O line intact.
Right. I think O line, in my opinion, O line doesn't get enough credit. I think everybody agrees with
No,
that.
everybody
They're the
agrees with that.
unsung
Yeah.
heroes of football. Yeah. But I just think that it's smart for them to keep him around. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, let's move on to the Jets tagging Marcus May. What do you think about that?
Marcus May. He's actually when the Jets are competitive again, which I think they will be next year with the new head coach and CJ Mosley returning, I think they will be competitive. And I think tagging Marcus May is a good option. He was probably the only. I'm surprised they didn't trade him last year, but keeping him, they should keep him now because they're starting their rebuild, and I think he's a good piece to work around in their secondary.
Yeah, like you said, like I've said, they're rebuilding, not like Lions rebuilding, but they're rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I think that tagging him, like you said, was smart, especially with they've got a lot of new cogs in the gearbox this year.
You
I'm
can't
using
have
that term a
all
lot today,
turnover.
but
You can't have all turnover. You got to keep some
mhm,
pieces that know the system and can teach the younger guys.
right, I agree with that. Um, I still think there needs to be more talent on that team to be a contender this year. If they don't grab a lot of talent this year, I don't see them being a contender this year. But maybe in the next coming
I don't
years,
think they'll be a
I see them
contenders,
maybe going.
but definitely next couple years.
I think I see maybe a 6-10 or a 7-9 this year. But I don't see them going 2-14 this year.
All right,
I don't see them doing that.
let's talk about two offensive linemen that recently got tagged. The Washington football team tagging guard Brandon Scherf, and the Jacksonville Jaguars tagging tackle Cam Robinson.
Um, like I have a mutual love for offensive linemen. As a pitcher in baseball, catchers don't get a lot of credit, and I understand that. I give my catchers credit every time. Just like quarterback, you see these quarterbacks that buy these tremendous things for their offensive linemen if they had a good year, stuff like that. I think you need to keep if you have a good O line, you have a good guy on the O line. You got to keep him. You got to keep what you have because I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't have a good O line, and with no O line, there's no offense. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was smart. What do you think? What do you think?
I think both of those tags are smart. As the Jaguars turn over their roster and they look to acquire Trevor Lawrence with the number one overall picked in this upcoming draft, they really need to keep as many pieces on that O line as they can because what you don't want to have is a Joe Burrow type of situation where you have no protection for him, and he has a possible career
Hmm.
affecting injury in his first year.
Right.
So even if it's just a
Yeah, I
tag and
think
like not re-sign him after that, I'm okay with that.
right. I think with Trevor Lawrence coming in, no matter what, I think that he's going to be starting right out of the gate. And I think, like you said, with the injury Joe Burrow had, and he wasn't having a bad season. With the injury Joe Burrow had, I don't I don't think it's smart to just rebuild completely.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to give at least them a shot. Like you look at Sam Darnold, where his entire team, like I always say this, and you know this, Sam Darnold was set up for failure. He was set up for failure. You don't want to set up Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is one of the best first rounders we've seen in a while. Like
He's one of the most
one of the
hyped
best first
quarterbacks
overall picks
ever.
we've seen in a good while. Yeah, yeah. I don't say anybody's going to be the best player in a while until I see it because there's been so many first rounders that we've got the Ryan Leaf situation, the Johnny Manziel situation. I got to see him. I got to have him finish his first year well first, and then if he has an MVP like season, we'll see. But anyways, off of the draft, um, I think with like I said, a hot shot like Trevor Lawrence coming in, you want him to succeed. You
Yeah,
need to
you want
give
you
him the
want to set
tools
him
to
up
at
for
least be
success,
able to attempt.
and you can't spend all
Right.
that draft
Okay.
capital and have a bunch
Let's
of
talk
newbies on
about
the O
Chris.
line.
Right, I agree with that. Let's talk about Chris Godwin being tagged.
Chris Godwin. The Bucks just want to keep
What do you
everybody
think?
together, keep everybody together, try to run it back as
Yeah.
best they can, and I think that's fine. I think that's actually a really good idea. Try to optimize this short Super Bowl window while you've got Tom Brady heading the offense, and you've got all these weapons and all these defensive guys. They've got a lot of mouths to feed on the defensive side. We'll see if they all get their money in Tampa Bay or elsewhere. But I really like the tagging of Godwin.
Yeah, me too. I think with the with what the Bucks got right now, I don't know why I keep cutting out. I'm sorry,
Sure.
but with the talent the Bucks are going to have on both sides of the ball, I see the Bucks. They're another Super Bowl contender. I think maybe this year's it because I think this is going to be Brady's last year. But I don't see them letting go of anybody right now. They've got their team at least for this year. And then I always say this: what are you going to do without Brady? Right? What are you going to do without him? Huh?
Well, if I'm Chris Godwin, I don't
But
want to tether
and then you look
myself
at
to the
New England, they
Buccaneers
lose.
because here's historically the Buccaneers are kind of a bad team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the only reason they were good this year was because of Tom Brady. They won the Super Bowl in 2002 because of their defense. Um,
I don't want.
the
If
Buccaneers,
I'm
once
Chris
they lose
Godwin,
Brady, I just said this.
I don't want to tether myself to that organization.
I right, no, I don't either. I think, like I said, once you lose Brady, well, you're just going to go right back to where you were. You could have all the talent. You don't have a quarterback. You're not going to do well. I'm sorry. Quarterbacks are a big part of a big part of the team. And if he may not have these great seasons without a good quarterback that's going to put the ball where it needs to be put. So, in my opinion, I agree with you completely on that, due to the sole fact that the Buccaneers picked up Brady because Jameis Winston, or not Jameis, yeah, because their team was just failing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna probably fail once Brady leaves too, in my opinion. So I don't think he should stay there, and I think tagging him was the best option for Chris Godwin. I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Last
What do you think
tag.
about Micah Hyde?
Oh, Micah Hyde, the extension of Micah Hyde. I actually really like that. The Buffalo defense kind of struggled this past year. It was really the offense carrying them that made that happen. But I really like that
Right.
signing. I think it's a good number for him. He's a reliable, no nonsense kind of safety. I just like the player. I like the signing. I like the fit in Sean McDermott's scheme.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Bills are going to be one of the biggest powerhouses in the NFL next year and probably for the next coming years because New England is lost their division for the first time in what, 12 years?
Something like
The
that.
last time they lost it was what, 2009?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, when they lost to the Dolphins. But yeah, I think the Bills will be winning the division for the next coming years. I mean, I don't know if I see them winning a Super Bowl against Kansas, or winning the Super Bowl or just getting to the Super Bowl against Kansas City anytime soon. But I think the Bills are in a bright spot, especially with the talent that they're getting.
Mm,
But let's move on to let's move on to the Titan shipping. Let's talk about their 2020 first round pick and the 2022 seventh to Miami. What
well,
what
yeah.
what do you
So
think?
So really,
The Titans. What do you
their
think?
2020 first round pick was tackle Isaiah Wilson, and Isaiah Wilson, he is the definition of
Right.
a bust. So I'll give you a quick rundown of his season last year. He played a total of 4 snaps on the Titans. He went on the COVID list twice and had 2 run-ins with law enforcement. One at a Tennessee State University party, where he like almost jumped off a balcony or something like that, and then another one for a DUI. So when you have
hmm
combined as many run-ins with the law and trips to the COVID list as you have snaps, that is a terrible year.
Now, I look. Unfortunately, I don't put him in the busts of Johnny Manziel tier,
Oh yeah,
but I
obviously
put him in the bust
not that big,
right
but
below. I think. Yeah, but it was still no, it was pretty big. He was a first round pick gone to waste, just like Johnny Manziel was, just like Ryan Leaf was, just like what's his name? I forgot his name, but anyways, he's a big he maybe will have one more shot or
well,
another,
NFL shots come quick and they go
if
by
he
fast, and
doesn't
if you can't capitalize on your shots, then
right.
you're lost.
No, I think he he it's professional sports. It's purely business. You don't produce. All right, get off my team. You know,
Exactly.
it's as simple as that. And I think he doesn't realize that. He thinks he's so talented that he can just go back in next year and be fine. No, somebody's gonna take his spot. That's
Well,
how it
yeah.
works.
So
Uh,
the
I
Titans
just
sent
don't. I
him
think
and a 2022 seventh rounder to Miami for a 2021 seventh rounder. So like they really got almost nothing.
right, and I think. I think that should show him something, that the lack of faith that they have in him. I think that should open an eye and be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
why am I doing this? But I guess we'll see next year. I don't know. You see a lot of you see a lot of guys that just can't handle the NFL, but you also see a lot of guys like this who have all the talent of the world and just and just, excuse my language, they just piss and shit away because they think they can.
Well, I
You
really
know,
like the move for Miami because it's basically a free chance at revitalizing. Because he has the talent, he just doesn't have it all together.
right? I think it shows. Okay, look, we're giving you a shot, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
giving you a shot. Now, now, I think that if he takes that shot, I think he could be a Pro Bowler. I mean, he's got talent, but anyways, let's move on to the Raiders, and they're shipping Trent Brown to New England along with a 2022 seventh and a 2022 fifth. What do you think?
No, they're shipping him for 2022
Oh,
fifth.
I read that wrong. I'm sorry.
So the Raiders are sending offensive tackle Trent Brown and a 2022 seventh rounder in exchange for a 2022 fifth rounder. And Trent Brown has been on New England before. He was on it for the Super Bowl run in 2018, and he really anchored that line for Tom Brady back in the day. And I really like this move because he didn't really work out in Las Vegas. He only spent 1 year there. He was due like $13 million or something, and the Raiders were trying to shed cap, and they weren't even sure that he'd be starting and whatnot. So they decided to deal him back to New England. Classic New England move, getting a good player for cheap.
Right, that's what they do. Even when they had Brady, that's what they do. That's just what New England does. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that he has obviously shown that he's a good player. He's not a bad player, and I think New England just needs talent right now because they lost two of the biggest stars they ever had, and more. Brady
Mm-hmm.
and company gone. That leaves New England with like nothing.
Yep.
So, I think it's a good move for New England. But
And especially with six rounder Mike Onwenu, who was really good this past year, and they also have some flexibility on the line with Isaiah Wynn, so they can shift kind of stuff around. Even with Joe Thuney probably leaving, I think it still gives them a probably top 12 offensive line, I'd say.
yeah, I think that's good for them because especially when they don't have much right now, they don't have a lot of standout talent right now.
On skill positions, at least, yeah.
I think that gives them a little bit more. But anyways, that concludes our football section for the day. Our let's talk about our dugout talk.
Okay,
Let's look at Jackie Bradley Jr. to the Braves. So I was wrong last week. Red Sox giving him off, man. I'm so excited for baseball. But
isn't he in Milwaukee in the Brewers?
I put Braves. I meant Brewers.
Is
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Brewers, yeah.
yeah. I'm typo. I'm sorry. But he, I was wrong about. I thought the Red Sox were talking deals with him, and they were a couple weeks ago. But he's gone. The Red Sox, man, they've got all this money, and they got no. I thought the Orioles were bad. Red Sox got nobody right now, and I think that for Jackie Bradley Jr., this is a good move. It's a good move for him. He's going somewhere else, somewhere that it's a new start for him. I think it's good. It's a good move. But so in college baseball this week, Arkansas staying on the roll, staying number one out of the top 25s, number one school in Division One NCAA baseball. First time in forever they've stayed first this long. Arkansas, my goodness, what are you doing right? I don't know, but
Who are some of
ooh,
the key players on Arkansas that are fueling this number one run?
sorry I cut out there. I don't know if I can get all of them off the top of my head. I gotta think about it. But I mean, I think it's less so about the players for them right now. And Arkansas is doing one of those things that Coastal Carolina did in like 2017, where they're taking a lot of motivation right now, and they're excited to play baseball. Just like honestly, I am. I want to get out there and I want to play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to go out there and play sports? And granted, for them, it's a little different. They got a lot of more on the line than high school baseball players do, like me. But um, you know what? I give them credit because they're overtaking Vanderbilt, one of the best baseball school, formerly known as the best baseball school in the country, and like schools like Florida and stuff like that. It just shocks me, but I'm happy for him. But
Hmm.
anyways, let's move on to Jake Odorizzi to the Astros. I think it's a good move. I think it was honestly a good move. Uh, I don't necessarily agree with the Astros, but I think he should have. I think he should have gone somewhere else. But I think he needed to go. I think he needed to go. I think for him, he needed to find somewhere new, and I think for them, they needed to. And um, I think that just for him, and especially because it's a 2-year deal, I think that it gives him a little bit of time. So at least he knows he's got a contract. At least he knows that he's got a safe place for 2 years. But now let's talk about now. Brendan Rodgers and Garrett Hampson are going to have to battle for second base. I
What
think
what team is that?
I think that was with I think it was with the Brewers or the Rays. I think it was the Brewers. I looked up and um, no, my fault. I'm having a brain fart. It's the Padres. The Padres. I think the Padres, the amount of talent they've got on the team, I think it's tough for some of the original guys, especially guys like this. Now they got a battle for it, and that's baseball. But I think that in reality, the Padres are such a different team than they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they were, excuse my language, they were a shitty baseball team. And now they got all these stars, and it's shocking to me. I think that without who they have right now, without the pitching staff, without the hitting staff they have, they would the offensive lineup. I'm sorry, they wouldn't be where they are. And I think for these two guys, I think personally, I think Garrett Hampton's gonna take it. But I know it's probably weird for him. I mean, it'd be weird for me if I was a normal starter and that happened. I mean, it sucks. I know it sucks. But
Yeah.
I mean,
That concludes the baseball section. Let's move on to the hockey section before we go too over.
yeah.
Let's talk
Oh, I
about what
forgot. Yeah.
division is the strongest. So, in my opinion, it's got to be the East Division because in this new updated NHL playoff format, only the top 4 teams of each conference are going to the playoffs. So, which means in the East right now, you've got the Capitals, the Bruins, the Islanders, the Penguins, and the Flyers. And one of those teams is going to have to miss the playoffs. And those are all very good, very well built teams that honestly should have been split up, would usually be split up in a normal typical league year, but those teams are all in one division and they are beating up on each other. Just recently in hockey news, Tom Wilson, the Capitals forward, was suspended 7 games for a hit on Brendan Carlo, which sent him to the hospital, unfortunately. It was a debatable whether he should be suspended or not, but Tom Wilson does have a history of being suspended, and the league kind of hates him. So it's understandable that he got that expansion, that suspension, not extension. But the East Division is just beating up on each other, and some might say the North because it's the highest scoring, but the North plays almost no defense, and multiple people have gotten 6-point games, which is absolutely ridiculous. And the points leaders are almost all in the North Division. The only point leader not in the North Division is Patrick Kane, but everyone else, Shifley, McDavid, Draisaitl, Matthews, and Marner, those are all in the North Division. They can't figure out how to play defense. And speaking of Toronto, could they actually do it this year? So Toronto is one of the oldest hockey cities. For anyone who doesn't know, one of the oldest hockey cities, one of the most storied hockey teams, the Maple Leafs, but have not won a cup in 50
Mhm.
years. Have not won the Stanley Cup. Have not won it all. And they
That's,
have.
yeah, I
Go ahead.
thought you were talking
Okay, well, Toronto is probably one of the most storied hockey cities of all time, and have not won a cup in like 50 years.
to when the Cubs finally won the World Series
Yeah,
after
it's
108
basically a curse.
years. I think it's almost like I remember in 2016 we were like the Cubs are going to do it. I mean, it's just kind of like that feeling. You think they could do it? I don't know. You think they could do it?
Well, they would have to win the North, which looks like
I can't hear you, buddy.
they can. It looks like they can win the North Division, but we would need they would need to break past some of those stronger teams in the playoffs to get there. Kirby Dach back practicing for the Blackhawks after his wrist surgery this past offseason, which is good to see. He's one of their brightest young players. And on the other side of that spectrum, Brent Seabrook is one of the key defensemen for the Blackhawks dynasty of the 2000s and early 2010s, has officially retired. He got hip surgery last season, and there's really no way for him to play again. The game's just taken too much of a toll. He was 35. He is 35. He didn't die. He's just retiring. But he has had a great career. won a couple cups with the Blackhawks. Always the anchor of that defense.
So that concludes our podcast today. I think we ran a little long, but that's all right. Thank you guys for tuning in for the latest and greatest sports news on JC Sports. Sorry we didn't post last night. We both had a lot of business to do. Am I right, Jackson?
Yeah, I bought a car for anyone that cares. So.
Yep, Jackson got his first car. Now we both have one. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Make sure to like and subscribe. See you.